Hi guys, it's Laura's here, October Rain Rocks, and this is my first video for starting out solitary. This topic has a lot going on and there's a lot to share with regards to my journey with correspondence to the topic. So I will start by saying that I'm keeping an eye on my timer because for some reason my phone just likes to time out on me sometimes. So basically, battles, that's the first word I'm going to say. There has been many in my life. There's been many losses, and there's been many difficult paths and roads I've had to meander through, both in my mundane life and spiritually as in combined. When I was younger, obviously I didn't know that I was magically inclined then. I just believed that I felt that I was quite open and connected with nature when I was young. It wasn't until I got older that I realised certain things. And I didn't start practising until well into adulthood because I didn't think it would go down well. Not because I have a religious family, but because people that are different or kind of go down a different route to other people was kind of frowned upon a little bit in my family. So I decided to err on the side of caution. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee throughout. So the first battle that I faced was the loss of my grandmother at 8, and I was very close to her. But at the same time, I think there's some connection there for me when she passed, because I started really connecting a lot more with things again that I didn't understand when I was younger after her passing. So that was the first thing. And then over a certain period of time I had, like into my young adult years, I had some young losses, which I won't go into, but they were other very, very difficult battles to deal with. Then I'll skip forward into the next battle was a divorce with my son's dad, which was a bit complicated and a bit up and down and quite difficult in various different ways. Excuse me, asthma. But I won't go into that again either. That's a whole other story. Anyway, that was another battle that was completed and I got through, and regards like just putting the whole thing to bed really. And then the next battle was trying to find the right people to help my son, because my son's got special needs, and there was problems trying to find him the right school because he was put in the wrong school when he should have been put in this other school that would have been better for him, and because of governmental costs and things, he was put in a school that didn't suit his needs, and he had to move schools like 3 times basically. That was a whole other battle and challenging because I'm my son's full-time carer and I can't work. I have had to basically use go into like private rented sector. So the private rented sector was difficult because, it's not great having a private rented house where, you can't really take control of a lot of things to do with the overall of it because it's not your house. And anyway, we had a couple of houses in the past where landlords let us do a bunch of work to the place, then sold them, which is what happened to the landlord that I had prior to this one. Then this past year has been a battle from all battles, and I'm going to insert a video in here of something that I think is no coincidence, and it's very much connected in with the magic with regards to in the mundane, merging in with everyday life, connected in with spirituality and my path. I follow the Celtic path, and my protective plant is the ivy. And just over a year ago, we had ivy that was covering the whole of the front and side of the house, very protective. While that was there, yes, we had ups and downs, don't get me wrong, but when it came down to it, nothing bad majorly ever happened, to the point of what happened this past year, which is that my landlord, I believe anyway, asked the gardener to remove the ivy or kill it off or something, which he did. He was only doing what he was asked. This is where the original ivy was. I've been in this house since we moved in, and just over a year ago, the landlord had this killed off, and this is what's left of it. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you something which will make sense in a minute. Hello, Mrs. That's my cat, Aki's girlfriend. So you can see there, it looks pretty healthy. I've got my pent made up of canes there. And then the stones, like I said, that's been well gathered over quite a bit of time. So this is my wee elemental corner. Now, the next video I'll show you, you'll get an idea why I've done this and what I'm talking about with regards to this topic in a second. I wasn't aware of this till a wee bit down the line, and basically the cut and dry of it was that I could see that there was a merging of things that happened. Once I realised that was being dying off or had been killed off, I then started to realise that all the bad things were happening on the back of that, which was right after the ivy was killed off, I received my notice to quit for my current property. And it's been an ongoing battle because my landlord, when the notice to quit ended, she wouldn't give us any extra time to find a property that suited my son's needs. And I've had to go to a solicitor, which took forever to find because not all solicitors deal with civil law, and not all solicitors offer in the UK help of legal aid. However, she did. And she's trying to push the council to make sure that we are socially housed in appropriate accommodation. And they're doing everything in their power, the council, to say, although you've got 600 odd points, which is high points and points awarded for my son's medical needs, you are probably not going to get a house in time. And so my solicitor's gone through the Housing Act Scotland and has pulled a few things together, saying they're in breach of certain legislations. This is an ongoing battle, and it has been a struggle of all struggles. The other part of this story is that in the summer of last year, I thought I had a place. It was a beautiful house, a very witchy house. It was a big, old Victorian house in down in a dell in the woodland area with the River Tweed walking distance from the house. It had a beautiful old fireplace. It had a range. They were going to do the downstairs bathroom, they were going to put a walk-in shower for my son because he can't step into a bath shower, if you know what I mean. Sorry, coffee again. And everything was good to go. all my son's stuff was getting transferred down there. We'd told everybody, we'd signed a lease, and we then found out that because it was a different district and we are in, well, we have to rely on benefits, that because it was a different district, we would have to move districts, therefore we would have to change to a thing called universal credit. Now, for those of you that are not in the UK that don't know what universal credit is, it is a joke for a start, and it is basically, if you're not on universal credit and you have to move into an area that has universal credit, you basically put in for your swap over, and I was basically quoted originally that it would only take 4 or 5 weeks, which we thought that's doable. Said that to the new landlord, she was happy enough with that, no problem. Then I got told you don't apply for universal credit until you are a couple of weeks away from moving, because they will stop all your benefits. They'll stop your benefits, they'll stop your son's disability money and his employment support allowance money and everything, and you'll have no money to live on and nothing to pay your current rent with for this house. So we went, okay then. So anyway, so many weeks passed, and I went back to Universal Credit and said, right, we're imminently going to be moving in the next month or so. We'd like to put in for the Universal Credit. So they said, okay. I said, how long is that going to take? And he says, well, you're talking now, he says, this was November. He says, you're the beginning of November, I think. He says, you're talking 3 months from now before you'll get money in. So I says, what are we talking here? He says, you're looking at the end of January to the beginning to mid-February. And then, of course, he said there's Christmas and everything, so that'll hold things up further. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I got advised to speak to my new landlord about it and what I'd been told. And she pulled the house because, understandably, she had already been waiting months for this to all go through, and had been promised by the end of November that we would be able to get everything sorted and be in there. We went as far as decorating the place. We'd started moving some little bits down, and when we got told that, we literally had to go down there, clear what we'd already taken down there, and you know, kind of come to the realisation that the place was no longer ours. So the clincher was that she applied for this 2 weeks before Christmas last year, and I thought, oh my gosh. And I didn't know the system, how it worked. I basically believed that we would be out on our backsides before the end of the year, and that was worrying me, because like, Ali doesn't understand. He's got the coherency of a child and not a 22-year-old, and that was really concerning. So basically, I then contacted some people and they said, no, it can take 3 or 4 months. Don't worry about that right now. So bearing in mind, we already had our council points, bearing in mind we had been still looking in the private sector, nothing was going our way. That house we lost was a massive blow, and every other, excuse me, my asthma's terrible today, many other letting agencies, landlords and everything we contacted, or the hundreds of houses we viewed, as soon as they found out we were on benefits, it was like, no thank you, we don't take benefits, and we don't take any disability money, we don't take benefits of any kind, no matter what the situation is. And I had a couple of quite horrible phone calls where people were like almost penalising me for being on benefits and Ali for having disabilities, which I couldn't believe. I was totally shocked by that. So the long and short of it is, we're still in this situation. We don't have any rent arrears. We don't owe any money. We haven't done anything bad to the house. It's not trashed. We look after the place. All these things, yet there's still taking this forward. My actual solicitor has gone to them several times now and asked to try and rectify this out of the tribunal. So, basically what's happening is that we are still in the current situation we are, and it's going to the tribunal on the 1st of July. Now, because the landlord's applied for a mandatory grounds, which is she wants the house back to sell it, do it up and sell it as far as we're concerned. But what the real truth of the matter of that is, we're not really sure. That is kind of irrelevant, but anyway. So we've said, what do we do? So our situation is that our solicitor has gone to the council, and like I say, is pushing with certain legislations to ensure we are housed. She's also trying to get the order of possession superseded, so that we have extra time if a possession order is granted back to the landlord with a possession without the landlord's right to act of immediate effect, meaning that we have time. Yes, possession order might go back to her, but she can't act upon it. She can't kick us out. She can't do anything like that until we're housed. So it's been a long road. So this is not over yet. But what's this got to do with witchcraft? Well, when I first lost the house, I felt that Morrigan had kind of guided me to that house. It wasn't anywhere near the area I'm in now. It's about an hour and a half's drive away from here. I live kind of in mid-Scotland, in between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and this house was down at the Scottish borders. So it was quite a bit away from where we are now. So I was thinking, well, it's not something I would have potentially looked at myself, you know, outwardly gone as far as that looking. But anyway, so I thought it was meant to be. And then when that happened, I thought, what have I done wrong? You know, thinking the wrong way. You know, I was thinking, what have I done wrong? You know, have I done something where this has been taken away from me? However, it turned out that the reason she pulled, you know, made sure it was not going to be ours anymore was because we found out later on down the line that not only would we have been waiting 3 months for our money to come through, meaning the landlord would have been out without rent for months, putting us in a sticky situation, but that because my son's on the old system, which is DLA, and there's a new system coming in, has been coming in for a few years now, called PIP, that because he's not on PIP, they would have put him through that whole procedure, which could have taken another, 6 to 8 months of him not having any money, which obviously would have had a knock-on impact on general things to do with finances, because some things Ali pays for himself because he's now a young man, and all that would have taken months and months and months, probably pushing towards the end of this year, had that gone ahead. So I think it was a protective act on the universe's behalf, and made sure that we didn't end up in that worse situation. And it was better to have us lose the house before we were even in it than be in it and Alistair get used to new surroundings and then it be pulled away from us because we had all our money stopped for silly reasons, like I say, moving district. So in the end, it makes sense why the universe intervened, why the goddess intervened, because it would have been a worse situation. So I then started to change my thinking of it and started thinking of, I was too busy, I was too focused on, as a mum, trying to get us down there, trying to figure out how to get us moved there, because we had the movers paid for by the council, had to work through all that, the finances of the council, agreeing to pay the movers and all the rest of it. So I was kind of preoccupied with the the basics of all that kind of a thing, and didn't even think for 1 second there was a problem that way. And when that started coming about, that's why she was, I believe anyway, kind of really had to put the stone down hard on the ground with it, because had we actually moved into that place, it would have been absolutely awful with the outcome, what the outcome would have been. And in this country anyway, if you don't pay your rent for whatever reason, and you have arrears of 3 months or more, the landlord has got the right to start proceedings to have you evicted. So we didn't want to be put in that boat again, and obviously the universe, Morgan, clearly saw that and thought, no, this can't happen. So we've had quite a lot of houses we've looked at since then. The last one being last week or the week before. It looked very positive that we had a good chance, and the chances of us being offered it were quite high, because they were not fazed by the fact that it was on benefits and Alistair's needs were what they were, which was a good thing. So it meant that we knew if we were successful, that benefits wouldn't be an issue. Anyway, yesterday I got an email from the agency saying that the owners had gone with somebody else, which I kind of expected really. But the owners had gone with somebody else. So I'd already told my solicitor that we'd viewed this place, and she's like, fingers crossed. But for some reason, I didn't think we would get it. I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. So I was correct in the thinking. But I think the universe wants us, I think the goddess is wanting us to be housed socially, because it means that there's no chance of this happening again with another private landlord. There's no chance of us ending up back in this boat again in 5 years' time. If we get social housing, it is going to be permanent, it's going to be at a price that we can afford, and it's going to be, have legs and longevity and security for me, but also for Alistair as he's getting older. And I'm not getting any younger, not that I'm ancient or anything, but I mean that the security is going to be there for Alistair when I get older, because I am 46 in October, and obviously I'm not a young thing, but I'm not old by any stretch of the imagination. But as you get older, when you've got a loved one, a child, in my case a young man now, with the needs he has, it's things you think about, because you want to make sure that they're secure and happy and set for the future, because you're not going to be around forever. So the battles are that the magic and the mundane are very much interwoven with one another. One very much affects the other. I have got some battle oil on the go. I have got a battle candle on the go to battle through any of these situations that's happening. I have prosperity magic going. I have battle magic going. I have things that are important to make sure that we have completely secured. I've been witching my butt off the past little while. Some stuff I have made myself, like oils and candles and stuff, and other stuff I have bought. I recently bought I don't know if you can see it, but a skull candle here. I bought a ritual blend oil, and I bought incense from a witch online, and I bought a couple of other things from online and from other witches too, because although I am making some of my own stuff, time is of the essence, and sometimes I don't have the physical time as much as I would like to make everything myself from scratch. So things that I can make from scratch, Like for example, this candle here is just a regular candle I bought from the shop. I cleansed it, consecrated it and dressed it for intent that I wanted, and the same with my prosperity candle. It's exactly the same as this one, but it's for prosperity. This one up here, that one I made myself. As anybody that watches my own channel will know, I basically got that candle from Pine Stretchers here in the UK a year ago, about 10 of them, and I put decals on them. And that is my offering candle to the Morrigan. And I had that one there. That's now finished, which was for Babe. That's now finished. So I am going into town probably today or tomorrow, and I'm going to get a candle that I can put in there. Now, I've seen a jarred candle that a friend was sharing on Facebook, and I think it would be really, really ideal because it's the scent of it would go very well in this sacred space, and it would fit, the glass jar would fit inside there, so I could just slide the glass jar in there and burn it in there once it was blessed and consecrated and cleansed. So that's my prosperity candle over there. So basically the cut and dry of it is, that I make my own stuff when I can and try to, and when I buy stuff in, I buy stuff like a candle or oils or something like that that's going to last a wee while. Like the stuff I recently bought, I've separated the oil that I got in this bottle here into another bottle as well, so it's split between two Morrigan's bases. And the incense that I bought is now done. Just finished the last of that today, but I made a repeat order for the incense. I've got 2 packets because I really want this to help to continue and move forwards with what I'm doing, so there's no breaks in the magic that I'm doing. I'm wanting it to have, you know, the right momentum and keep going in the way I've been doing things, so there's not a break and it's continual, and I'm bombarding things from all avenues and all sides to ensure that the magic is continued, that things are being fed and needs are being met with regards sacred candles, incenses, all this kind of thing. And although I've made my own or dressed and cleansed and consecrated some of the candles that I've bought from just regular shops, the magical candles that I bought, I'm using sparingly, but I'm using regularly, if that makes sense. I have another candle that I bought, which is to help Ali when we do have to relocate, and I'm keeping that just now for when the time is right, because that candle combined with some other stuff I'm going to do will help Ali when the transition comes, which isn't happening yet, but it will be. So basically, this video is probably different from the other hosts because it's such a prevalent and present situation that has been going on for a while. And I think you have to remember one thing. I'm going to put a quote in here, which is that change is a constant thing. Change is always going to happen. Change is always there. And my astrological and birth connection is with water, the element of water. So it makes a lot of sense to me, like the shape of water shapes other things, if that makes sense. And so I'll put in here, to finish this video off, a little something I wrote in connection with that. There's a couple of quotes in there, but it's basically saying that it's kind of mind over matter. It's tackling things in the right way. It's tackling things in the right way, and it is to know how to tackle obstacles, and to tackle obstacles in a particular way, which is not to go rock on rock, so not to do that, but to kind of find the cracks and move through. So anyway, this is quite a long video. I hope you guys didn't mind, but I wanted to go into this in a bit of depth because it is affecting my current situation, and I feel that it's important to kind of highlight those things, and to sometimes think when things are happening, you know, that things are happening for a reason. There's always a reason for change. There's always a reason for things going the direction they're going in. And it sometimes takes a while for you to realise why those changes are happening. But go with the flow, don't fight against the current, and things will work themselves out. A Greek philosopher once said, "Change is the only constant in life," and this is so true. If I feel as though I'm going through a difficult time in any aspect of my life, I always remember the quote, "Nothing ever stays the same." The shape of water. Be like water making its way through the cracks and rocks. Do not be overly assertive, but just adjust to the object, and you shall find a way round or through it. No matter where you go or what you want to do, you'll face obstacles in this life. This is true. But what is also just as true is how you choose to navigate and learn to never give up. If you run headfirst into a barrier, no matter what form that barrier takes, try to find that crack in said barrier or rock so you can work your way around them. Then seek those tiny hairlines and, like a cartographer, silently read, allowing them to guide you onwards. Learn, change, mutate, adapt and submerge, trying not to remain completely a stoic, always allowing yourself the time you may need to slow down, meander, take stock and ground, without grounding oneself or becoming too rooted or too anchored to one spot, ideal or situation. Seek solace, be kind to yourself, avoiding unmovable or impassable obstacles where possible. Water takes on many forms: rain, snow, ice, the oceans or rivers, and interconnects with us on a raw, wild and free level, sharing emotions with us through the heartbeat of the earth. Water is also a part of us, as we are ever flowing with moving matter. Our blood courses and salty tears reconnect us back to the almighty seas.